Auzubillahi minash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamualaikum. Ji ayanu bakhaira gale ni hao chuna shumme washmale. Ohio gozaimas, guten Morgen, hola, bojo, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shubha chature. And thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. It's a wonderful morning over here in Islamabad. I happen to be Shahzad Khan, and with me, I'm really lucky. I've been joined by Miss Hajra Satti. Hello, Hajra. Assalamu alaikum. How are you feeling today?
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much. Alhamdulillah, Shahzad. You and I have been to the mountainous areas, and we are really fan of the wonders that Pakistan can offer to us. And really, in terms of the beauty that Pakistan has to play, I've been to a lot of places, to the European states, to the Asian states, and I see that the ruggedness, the rawness, and the diversity of the terrain, the landscaping that Pakistan can offer is unique, and that is, I'm saying, from a very personal effect. And recently we've seen that how there was a show that was conducted, New York show, which is a travel show 2025, and it awarded Pakistan a really amazing sort of an award, and that too because it placed Pakistan in a very top ranking in terms of Pakistan's tourism boost. And a New York Travel and Adventure Show 2025 placed and Pakistan won Best Partner Pavilion Award, and the mountaineering, adventure tourism and religious tourism got a really immense boost because of these efforts and the recognition which at the global level Pakistan is getting. And I don't think so that our landscaping is any what do you call it, for the lack of better words, is muhtaj of all of these things, but I think that obviously does play a role of a marketing or the booster that these shows gave it to us. So in order to further develop the conversation on the tourism, on Pakistan's mountaineering landscape, we are very glad that we have been joined by ZAFAR SADIQ. Assalamu alaikum, sir, and thank you so much. He happens to be the president of ALPINE Club of Pakistan. Welcome to our show, sir.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you.
So it's wonderful to have you over here and to kind of get started with this conversation. Please let us know about this show where Pakistan was awarded and has boosted what do we call it, tourism in many folds. Please go ahead, take us through.
Actually, this show is held every year in New York, and the adventure and tourism industry stakeholder across the globe gather there. They showcase their products, their country, the potential of mountain and adventure tourism to the open market for the many countries visiting there. So Pakistan has their enclosure there, and they displayed and they showcased their potential with the help of all the stakeholders and provincial governments. Wow. It was so much highly appreciated, and it was so artistically decorated that the potential of Pakistani adventure tourism, particularly mountain tourism, was so highly and so attractively designed.
The art of the creator in this part of the world we call Pakistan was exhibited so artistically that people were actually impulsive of coming to Pakistan and experience our adventure tourism.
Yes,
Right, so sir, we also need to, I think this is very important conversation when we are developing the tourism conversation, that back in 60s and 70s, Pakistan was the top tourist destination, especially for the European travelers who wanted to explore the exotic nations or the exotic landscapes, and they wanted to come here. It was famous for the raw and rugged adventure, the backpack travelers, you know, who just want to roll in and experience the beauty of the mountain. So now fast tracking it to 2025, you know, what are some of the things that we can, you know, give to our this adventure landscape of this mountain tourism that can give it a boost and encourage more tourism?
Actually, we need to have a much more, you know, effective marketing strategies and the budget allocated by the government and the other stakeholders to showcase their, you know, potential, as they have recently shown in the New York. They have been showing their, you know, products in ITB Berlin and other international fairs, but they need to put more efforts and to have a much more effective marketing strategies and communication strategies to attract the adventure lovers across. At the same time, I think the landscape is too much attractive, but still the infrastructure is not so of a good quality that some of the adventure lovers, they need, you know, very much comfortable accommodation, transportation and so on. They need to improve it further.
But sir, you know, obviously there are going to be two school of thoughts, you know, because we are speaking about adventure tourism, and I think that's the raw perspective that Pakistan always presents and is a unique selling point. Otherwise, people will go to Nepal. Not just that, you know, there's 3 mountain ranges that meet over here in Pakistan, you know, from north to south. Alhamdulillah, we have seen that there's infrastructure, roads and everything built. So when we say that, that there needs to be more infrastructure, we needs to come in, are we saying that there needs to be more hotels which need to come in, there needs to be more facility, there needs to be more clubs like Alpine Club, who actually kind of contribute to this ecosystem?
Actually, the road infrastructure is already there, but still, as you said, that there are two opposite opinions in this regard.
Yeah.
In the remote area, indeed, that where the extreme adventure lovers go,
Base
we
camps.
don't need to bring their road and other infrastructure, but we do need good quality hotels and good roads and transport and services
And
of
good
the
food.
tourism industry and in the cities like Gilgit, Skardu, Muzaffarabad, Chitral and Kagan, and so there is a mushroom
But sir, it's
growth
usually
of
the local cuisine which they present now. There's this naan type of thing that I've eaten over there, and I don't know, because obviously for 4 or 5 days when you were there, other than a yak steak or a yak burger, nothing can suffice you. But please go
yes,
ahead.
of course, the local cuisine and
Yeah.
local culture and local art and everything is there to attract that foreign tourists and even adventure lovers who come to the mountains, but they do enjoy these all cultural
Yep.
milieu of that region. But still, I feel that there is
space.
need to improve and increase the hotels. Quality hotels there.
True.
Right.
There is need to train the guides. There is need to train the high altitude mountain guides. They need to provide much more professional services to the quality tourist coming to Pakistan.
Right. And sir, now let's expand into the conversation regarding the porters. I think one of the very fine selling point of Pakistan's landscape is that, like Shahzad mentioned, it offers different sort of the terrains, different sort of the mountainous landscape, from highest to the lowest, from the hills to the really 8,000 mountains. So, what sort of facilities porters require there, especially the local communities, because they are like the guides there. They know that terrain better than the tourists, right? And if they're not trained enough, I mean, they cannot broadcast or present a better image of Pakistan. So how can government be a more supporting booster to give a tourism boost there?
Particularly about mountaineering, yes. We do not have certified mountain guides that are compared to the Nepali market. There are international standards of training to train the mountain guides. We do have very strong local high altitude porters or climbing guides, but they are not certified. As compared to Nepal, we see they are much more professional, and they take a lot of business from Europe. We need to train them. The government has taken very good initiative, that National Vocational Training Commission. They have introduced, they have developed a curriculum, they have going to launch one very formal certification program in collaboration with the international stakeholders. So we hope that the existing lot of the high altitude porters, they will get trained very soon, and they will be able to compete the foreigner.
And I think in addition to this, we really need to kind of see, because it's a family business over there. Imagine for people who've actually been submitting K2, for example, there's no name of the porter anyways, so I think people kind of need to reflect upon the people who've actually helped them, because the porter's there before them. So in news what you see is, oh ji, isne K2 chad liya. But what about the porter who is actually carrying everything? But sir, while we are at it, I think what we really need to talk about is the inclusion of technology. Now imagine that if I have to go from here to probably even Karachi, Google Maps is the option to kind of go about it. How do you think that that the local communities over there are well aware of the advantages of technology, and are we trying to use it? Number one. Number two, where you spoke about hotels, I think the only problem is baraf pad gayi, pipon mein pani jam gaya. You cannot take a shower. And this is something which actually kind of annoys you. You want to be fresh, go for whatever you're doing out there. So how do you think that people will finally realize that we need to do this, we need to include technology, we need to make people feel at home? Because that's something that I miss out over there.
Yes, of course, it is big challenge for the tourism industry in remote areas where electricity is a big challenge. Efficient and effective continuity of internet services there. So the social media or technology related training and human resource in tourism industry, they also lack there. So they need to be trained in it, and I hope that with the emergence of so many other stakeholders in the tourism industry, foreign investment is also coming. You must have heard about the SIFC.
Yes,
they
yes,
have
yes.
they are focused on it. They have allocated 5 billion rupees
Yes.
to attract the foreign investment.
Wow.
And they are coming there. They are establishing the hotels. They are establishing so many infrastructure. They are incorporating and benefiting from the technology and attracting the much
But-
more potential and tapping the tourism potential.
Right,
in
sir. And
Pakistan.
I think these are very important points, very fine point. But one of the point that I think we often miss as a nation is that obviously there is a lot of within country travel towards the Gilgit-Baltistan, the northern areas. And we've seen that millions of people flock to those mountainous areas for a good retreat. But we also need to be more responsible about that sort of tourism, because we see that the beauty of the area lies in the terrains, in the mountains, in the ruggedness of that. But with the influx of the tourism there, we see that there's so much incursion of the plastic there, right, which is also degrading the environment there. So environment is the selling point. That is what attracts the tourists there. So if that environment is not there because of a bad littering habits, what will happen? So what are we doing? What is the government doing to encourage more, ethical sort of the tourism, more responsible and green sort of tourism?
Actually, we are facing two types of, you can say, threats to our, environment in the mountain regions due to heavy flow of tourists. One is with the remotest area like mountains,
Right.
K2 and Baltoro track, where a lot of trackers go there.
Yep.
The government of Gilgit-Baltistan, they have very effective, efficient management system to Baltoro Glacier. They have one department. They get the fee for collect from the trackers, and they spend them to take care of that. Whatsoever pollution is left there, they every year they carry it down. They properly dispose of it. But still, there is a lot of pollution is there. They need much more resources to bring all that. But as far as the rest of the domestic tourist flow is concerned, going to the mountain areas, particularly domestic tourists, that is much more bigger challenge, because our population is not so much aware about the importance of the environment. The government of Pakistan, the government of Gilgit-Baltistan, and the Alpine Club and other NGOs, they are working it. They are creating an awareness. They are launching some cleanliness campaigns in the mountain areas to clean that area.
And sir, I do believe that, that for example, this is something, Hajra, which I experienced in Netherlands as well, where there's specific tourist police. So if tourists are doing something wrong, the police will come
It's
and they
also
will
in the
actually.
Turkey too,
Yes,
they'll
we do
find
have.
you.
We do have in KPK. We do
Yeah,
have
they
in
do have it.
AJK. We do have in Gilgit.
Chalan nahi kar
Tourist
rahe,
police.
lekin wo ye kar rahe.
No, they are
No,
doing
they
a
do.
lot
They're
of.
doing a wonderful job, yeah,
I have experience with
Yeah.
them. They are very much linked with the tourism department and the other stakeholders as well. In Azad Kashmir, I personally experienced them.
Yeah.
When we go bring our own group from the Alpine Club of Pakistan, they coordinate with us. They facilitate with us. Similarly, the foreign tourists are coming. They are very much facilitating
I
them.
think that's wonderful, but thank you so
Thank you
much,
so much.
Abu Sadiq Bhai, for being with us. Thank you so much for representing Pakistan in the New York show as well, which is
Thank you
actually
so much.
boosting tourism and adventure tourism, may it be adventure tourism, religious tourism. There's so many different types of tourism with different weathers, all sorts of cuisines, infrastructure, flights, hotels, and whatnot. So what are you waiting for, ladies and gentlemen? All you need to do is actually book probably a retreat for yourself over here. Come join us over here in Pakistan, because we are big at adventure tourism.
Right, and now we will move on to very interesting news, which is obviously related to the cricket. And Pakistan are facing South Africa in the third ODI match. PTV Sports will telecast the match live. The last series league match between Pakistan and South Africa will become a virtual semi-final. The winner of this match will qualify for the final and will face New Zealand on February 14th in Karachi. And best of luck to Team Pakistan, because once again, I reiterate that whenever we talk about the cricket, it's not just a sports, it's more than that.
Exactly, and not just that, Hajra, obviously New Zealand has won both the matches against Pakistan and South Africa, so technically Pakistan really need to kind of win this match and then win against New Zealand, because it's a tri-nation home series that Pakistan is playing. But very quickly, where credit is due, it's due as well. We really need to kind of pay rich tribute to the entire administration of the Pakistan Cricket Board,
Absolutely.
the chairman himself, Mr. Mohsin Naqvi, because the promises that he made with respect to Gaddafi Stadium
Right.
and the National Stadium Karachi have been fulfilled. The National Bank Stadium Karachi has officially opened its doors with a fresh, modernized look after undergoing significant renovations. The inauguration ceremony was graced by notable figures, including Sindh Governor Kamran Khan Tasori, Sindh Chief Minister Syed Murad Ali Shah, and Pakistan Cricket Board Chairman Mr. Mohsin Naqvi. The iconic stadium, a key venue for international cricket, has been transformed to meet global standards, offering state-of-the-art facilities to players and spectators alike. And thank you so much to the Pakistan Cricket Board team for sending me invites for the opening ceremony, even in Gaddafi Stadium, Lahore, and National Stadium, Karachi. Because I was busy over here, so I couldn't come, but congratulations.
Right, and best of luck once again to Team Pakistan. So now we are going to delve into a very interesting segment and the topic which I think a lot of women can relate to it. And not just women, I think maybe it's men, they can also relate to it because they have their own sets of problems to deal with, their own situations which can develop, and obviously that needs to be dealt with. And which is that a lot of women after their marriages, particularly after having the kids, they go through time in their period of life where they have to take a break from their careers. And a lot of people call this term the career breaks, or in other words, the professional sabbatical that they have to go through. But how to navigate that phase, and after that phase, they again, when they join the workforce, what sort of the environment is there? Are they, number one, in a better place to get reintegrated? That female brain drain that is happening, how to deal with that, and how to deal with the feeling of, the longingness or the identity shift a woman is experiencing. How can we deal with that? So in order to unfold this conversation, we are very glad that we have been joined by a family physician and who also happens to be a blogger, Dr. SHAISTA. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. SHAISTA, and thank you so much for joining us.
Assalamu alaikum, Hajra and Shahzad. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
It's an absolute pleasure. So, Dr. SHAISTA, let's kickstart the conversation. How to re-enter the workforce, especially when you go through that professional sabbatical or the career break for the woman. I think you have also been through that process.
Yes, absolutely. Let me, before we start, let me just commend you for bringing these really important, intriguing topics related to women. I hope we continue to talk about these things and it can result in some real change. Once we start discussing about things, there's a little bit, I would like to take a few moments to talk about these limiting titles that we give women. And I'm talking about titles like, working women or staying at women who choose to stay at home, or career breaks. Maybe we call it stepping down, or, taking a little bit of a pause. Unfortunately, I think a lot of these terms are a misnomer, or sometimes they kind of imply that working women are working and stay-at-home mothers are not working. It kind of just feels like there's like a woman's life comes to a halt when she chooses to do that break. And in reality, it's the opposite. Like, it actually is you go to a big growth during this phase of your life. So I just want to kind of like, talk about these nuances while we carry on this discussion. So coming back to your question about like, how to kind of navigate, it is challenging. It is very intimidating when you go back. I think it is you can have do some strategic planning once you're going back. So once you have taken the leave, a lot of times you are either caregivers or you're managing household, or sometimes you're like volunteering, and that could be even volunteering at your child's school. So you are definitely developing some kind of skill sets during that time. So when you're applying for those jobs and you're also like, on your CVs, it is good to kind of like, transfer those skill sets into the job title you're applying for. Networking is super important. So, staying connected with the same professionals, or keep in touch with your old colleagues, maybe doing some certifications or refreshing courses.
But Dr. SHAISTA, I have to, sorry for interjecting you here, but I think we need to also talk about that feeling of insecureness that you feel, and especially the question that we grapple, that what would have happened if we have not left the job, right? Because a lot of female, workers who have rejoined the workforce, they could not find a very meaningful or challenging task because, I don't know, for the lack of better word, maybe, their skill set is not, it's getting redundant because they have not been in the market and the market has progressed, and because of their attention towards their kids and their families. So, in this entire scenario, how do you think we need to unfold this conversation to make a transition for them to be more easier and more understanding and more empathetic?
Yeah, so this is a huge topic, right? So one part is like, how women kind of navigate that and how they kind of go back, and what do the employers need to do, right? So there's so much kind of like nuances. The first thing is like, women should should be giving themselves a lot of love and grace during this time. And I think there's a lot of shame or embarrassment or stigma attached to when women do take these career breaks, right? You are basically associate this with as a sign of weakness and probably a lack of growth. And in reality, you are learning so many new things, right, during this phase of life. So what you want to do is for the employers, because a women's career is not going to be linear like a man's career. There's going to be, when you hire women, you have to really understand these complexities that comes with hiring a woman, because a woman is going to at some point become a nurturer, is going to have a family, is going to have children, or maybe kind of like take a small break so that her partner can actually go and achieve what he wants to achieve. So the employers and organizations need to really understand that. I think conversations need to happen. Women have to raise voices, just like we are doing today. Discussions needs to happen around this time, around this, and slowly and hopefully those changes are going to happen.
That's true, Dr. Saiba, and certainly, I think over here at PTV World, we've always made sure that, that we become the voice of the unheard as well. True. But imagine that in Pakistan, the dilemma is not just around women as well. Now, imagine that for me, myself, I'm going to give you my own example, because we do multiple things, right? It's not just PTV World, so it's not into PTV World's perspective. Imagine that I go for my treatment sometime, it takes me 2 months, 3 months away from the job. But certainly, every time that I come back, there will be a challenge right ahead of me, where I will have to wait for my position to be called up again, to get back into the business once again as well, with all the shows that we do. So how do you think that, because I've seen there are two phases now. Either you stay connected to the peers that you have been working with, or either, there's a disconnect and 3 months later you text them, hey, you know what, I'm back, when do you want me on the show, or something of that sort. So even for men, it's difficult. So how do you think that people really need to navigate while they have that, professional sabbatical period?
It's such a difficult question that you ask. And, again, I think the whole responsibility goes on to the organizations and the employers, right? It is not the 1900s anymore, in which one member of the family used to work. There were and it used to be only one kind of job that they were doing, right? I am talking about, I looked at my father and my grandfather. They were like 9 to 5 jobs, just like you can see like single or a single faceted and not like a multifaceted job. So now things are changing. People are doing multiple jobs, women and men both, that you just talked about. So I think these conversations need to happen, and organizations as employers need to understand that. Unfortunately, that's not happening right now.
We need to get rid of that corporate mentality and see humans as a humans, not as just robots working for us. But one last question before we quickly wrap up this segment. Dr. Shaista, we've seen, so you live in a very multicultural society, and there's a phenomenon of the glass cliff, where the women or the people of the color, they are offered the executive position in the time of crisis. So instead of us being the leaders, we are just hired to save that entire scenario. Have you ever felt that, and how to deal with that situation as a minority?
Yeah, so unfortunately, this is a bias, right, that comes. And unfortunately, when you put the women of color or like people of color and, from minorities into these situations and in these complex situations, and other help is not available, you're actually setting them off for failure right from the beginning. Thankfully, and it hasn't happened to me, so I don't have a personal experience of that. But yes, I have seen examples of that happening. Again, it is basically, raising your voice and building a community around you. And when I think you start to talk about it and you raise your voice, then, the companies and the organizations have to make those changes.
Exactly. But thank you so much, Dr. Shaista, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you. And that one solution that I've always found really helpful, and that is that I've always been to my employer. Right. I've asked for a chutti, and then I'm like, okay, please sign this document which says that he's going for these many days, and he will be back and he will resume his job. Please have those letters signed with you guys.
That's very true, and thank you so much for saying that, or for giving us the resort we need to have. Yeah. But now we will move on to another very interesting topic, and that is a book that was written on the placebo effects. And what exactly is the placebo effect? I think without further monopolizing my conversation, I would want my guest here to tell us and how our mind can dominate over the matter. So in order to unfold this conversation, we are very glad that we have been joined by a health and a fitness enthusiast or the expert. She happens to be Mariya Khan. Assalamu alaikum, Mariya, and thank you so much for joining us.
Walaikum assalam, both of you. Thank you for having me over.
Thank you so much. You know, you're everywhere these days. Wherever we switch on a television, you're there. So we wanted you to be here as well. Thank you so much.
I am trying to serve my best.
Right.
Wonderful.
So please tell us about what is the placebo effect and how does it help in the wellness nowadays?
Mind over matter. And the mind is the most powerful and most potent healing agent.
Yeah.
Right.
So placebo is, to define it, placebo is basically a fake treatment or no treatment at all.
Right.
But if you believe that it's going to heal you, it definitely will. So it was World War II
Yeah.
when it was first discovered.
Right.
World War II, there was this doctor at the campsite.
The red pill and the blue pill. Yeah.
Well, that came later.
Yeah.
Before that, it came
Sugar
that
pill, right?
yeah, the
Yeah.
sugar pill.
Yeah.
So he was treating all these war victims, you know, broken arms, broken legs, and back in those days, the painkiller was morphine.
Yeah.
So they were used to inject
Very nice.
morphine to conduct all these surgeries,
Right.
and so he ran out of morphine.
Right.
There was no morphine. So what he did, now he had to do something to,
Yeah.
you know, alleviate the pain. So what he did is he injected saline water and conducted the surgery. Interestingly, the patient he was conducting the surgery on reported the same painkiller properties.
Right.
Yeah.
When he was told that he's injected morphine, however, he was injected saline water and salt.
Yeah.
So from there it started this whole
I
discovery
think
of placebo.
there's another beautiful example because everybody's got children at home. Now imagine that, you know, that they're always very used to having soda. And so you just have to trick them in a soda bottle. There's milk and they will drink milk, you know. So they're like, oh yeah, you know what, we're drinking soda. How do you think that we can practice it? Because when we become adults, you know, we are so rational, we want to see things ourselves and the things really need to make a meaning for you. How can we apply it on our daily basis? You know, for example, if you're stressed, anxious, there's depression,
Right.
how can you apply the placebo effect? Or do you need a partner to do that?
The best partner you can always have is yourself, your own particular soul. So if so what happens is, if I have a negative self-belief, if I go like, I will never change, things will never work out for me, life will be this miserable always and forever, things will never change. So that's where placebo effect, you can use the placebo effect to actually heal you, make you better, make you prosperous,
How do
make you
try
become
it?
richer.
How do you try it?
Again, like what Shahzad said, we need to redirect. How does it fit into the modern conversation we are having on the wellness and fitness and, you know, all of these mind conversations?
Another experiment that was conducted. So testing the placebo. So there was this criminal who was condemned to hanging till death,
Yeah.
right? So a scientist took
Without
that.
wasting a drop of blood. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. So what happened is, so the doctor said, I'm going to, you know, accomplish the same result, get him killed, but without even touching the body. So they brought in the person and he said that instead of getting hanged till death, what I'll do is I'll just make small cuts on your 4 extremities and you will, you know, drop all the blood and you will die a painless death. So the guy agreed, and what they did is they, you know, blindfolded him.
Right.
It's an amazing, fantastic story. So blindfolded him and then they didn't cut him.
Right.
They just faked a cut and they dropped, you know, there was these drips of dropping water on the floor. He could hear it that he was thinking that his blood is dropping, but in actuality it was water drops.
Yeah.
Once all the drips stopped, he died.
Yeah. His heart stopped beating.
His heart stopped beating. This is one. There was another experiment in the US. What happened is another guy who was condemned to hanged till death, you know, punishment. So another scientist took him in and he said, you know what, this is a really horrible way of dying. So I'm going to propose an easier one. So what I'll do is that I have this potent snake and it's going to just sting you and you will have no pain and you will die in like 20-25 minutes. So what happened, 20-25 minutes later, the guy died.
Right.
They did forensic on him. His body created that potent venom.
Yes, we get that. Like, you know, these are experiments which help us to understand the placebo effect. Now, when we talk about the wellness, the modern day wellness, and we see that so many people are going through the depression and anxiety, and I'm pretty sure being a fitness expert, you will encounter a lot of such cases, right? And I think we have all our things to deal with it, right? So, you know, how can we trick our mind into believing that, or maybe do you call it or label it a trickery in the first place, you know?
It is a trick, and it starts with self-talk. Initially, if you really want to, you know, shortcut into it, the shortcut comes with motion is equals to emotion. If I have a sedentary life, if I sit here all day and I have my phone and I just do this and it's 24 hours, yeah, maza aata hai over here, but then there's this term called brain rot, right? So if I'm not moving, if I really want to jumpstart myself into it, I have to start with motion. And motion doesn't mean that you have to go to the gym, all right? A simple 20-25 minutes of walk will help you feel better.
Absolutely.
It will help you get in the gear of it. Simple. Okay, if you don't want to do that, just this challenge, this promise with yourself that, okay, I will try to stand longer instead of sitting. Sitting is the new smoking.
There's another connotation to it. Now imagine that for me, if I don't go to the gym, I'm a sad guy. So I know for sure that once I'm done with the gym, I'll be a happy guy. Now imagine that's how you actually, I'm not even tricking myself. I actually feel great.
Exactly.
And you know, with that example which you gave, I need to kind of bring people's attention to this because I have gone through this myself. When I was unfortunately diagnosed with leukemia, my sister came in, you know, so I went on to Google and I wrote, okay, you know, is it curable or not? The Google said, you know, you have got maximum 45 days and whatnot, and that's 17 years ago. So I didn't say anything to anyone, and I thought, okay, you know, I'm going to pass these 45 days and let's see what's going to happen. So third or fourth day, my sister came in, my elder sister. If she's out there, Satti, thank you so much for that one. And she said, hey, you know what, nothing's wrong with you. And I held on to that so strongly that shukr alhamdulillah, you know, obviously jitni zindagi likhi hai, wo itni likhi hai, but you know, to have that confidence, to kind of just listen to that one person, not do the scientific research, because what we do is that we get into research, okay, you know, if somebody's saying right or wrong. If it helps you, just believe it.
Yeah, and that research you're just mentioning is just basically someone's opinion over the internet. It's not, many times it's not authentic. Now, with all this misinformation, many times it's just an opinion of another person. So coming back to this whole fact, how do I hijack it, how do I use it to my benefit is, I am my biggest friend and I can be my worst enemy. We have to decide right there. It's very, very clear. Even if we talk about, you know, the scriptures, all the 4 scriptures, it starts with, there is either you are grateful, or either if you are not grateful, you will be condemned and you will have misery all your life. So it's about sitting down and actually thinking about not living in the past, but thinking about, all right, this is what happened, but in my life, but today onwards, I decide, because each one of us is the creator of our life. I'm the creator of my life. I write my story.
Exactly. And you know, when you write, ladies and gentlemen, half of the problem is solved as well. That's what they say. It's a very famous quote. Thank you so much, Mariya, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you. For everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, write your story with your own hand, because until the time the lion does not start to ride, obviously the hunter is going to be a legend. Until next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning. Have a great day.
Good morning.